Hi, my name is Gerhard Schwantner, and welcome to Selling Power TV. Today we have the pleasure of meeting with Brian Hartlen. He's the Vice President of Marketing with Varicent. How did Varicent start?
We were founded 5 years ago by a couple of gentlemen who were out of the financial performance management space. Spent a lot of time and years building budgeting, planning, forecasting systems, and saw a real need, a real hole in this whole sales performance arena, and thought there was a good opportunity and founded the company to drive sales effectiveness across enterprises.
When did you get your first big customer?
We spent the first year building the product, then rolled it out to a few smaller companies, and our first big company was 2 years later. A couple years after that, we rolled our first Fortune 500, and now Fortune 100, up to Fortune 10 customer today.
So what is different about Varicent?
So first of all, its design point was a complete sales performance management system. And what we recognized was that we didn't want to build a model and tell people this is the way to do compensation. We knew we had to do it the way they wanted to do it. So we had to build a pretty adaptive and flexible infrastructure. So if you narrow it down, the things that we provide for people, first of all is speed, because speed wins. And speed, what do we do? There's a couple of different ways we deliver that. First of all, we deliver a visual plan builder so that the compensation analysts themselves can build and manage plans. They don't have to rely on other departments, call people. So if someone wants to make a change or you've done a reorganization, they can implement that immediately. We've also got a pretty good calculation engine which performs quickly. And lastly, we've embedded some technology that allows us to give executives and managers or anybody doing analysis quick slice, dice, drill down immediately all by themselves, again, without having to rely on other people, send off requests to IT to build reports. So it's all about speed. Secondly, it's flexibility. It's this extensible business model to meet people's needs. If you do your business your way and you have a reason to drive compensation a certain way or manage territories a certain way, you should be able to do that. So we've designed the product to allow you to do that. Third, it's kind of that financial background I talked about. We have a lot of accountants in the organization. We put complete audit trails into everything that happens. So visibility, if you've got some Sarbanes or audit requirements, we drive that. Last and not least, we've hired some pretty smart technology people, and we challenge them in each and every release to add some innovation. So we were the first to put a native BlackBerry application. So not just a web browser, but native BlackBerry, because salespeople tend to be on the road and tend to use their BlackBerries. We're the first to put this visual interface on top of the whole thing for analysts, the first to embed all up. So a lot of firsts that we continue to help us drive down the ROI, drive up the adoption, and differentiate it in the market.
Brian, how do you go about proving the ROI?
ROI, that's an interesting one, because I think what most people do to do the ROI is look at the amount of resources it takes, how long it takes, and the error rate. And they can do an ROI, and it's pretty easy to justify about if I reduce the error rate from 8% to 5 or 3 or 2, it's a pretty good number. It turns out the real ROI for most people, however, though, is when I've got better plans that drive the right behavior to move the right products, that's a much more compelling story. It's just harder to quantify walking into an SPM implementation. So people tend to tactically do the ROI around cost savings and reduced errors.
How do you charge?
We charge by basically a system fee and then a per payee for how many people you're tracking compensation for.
How many customers do you have?
We have over 100 customers today.
Are you global?
Yes, we are. We have offices in Toronto, Canada, throughout the US, in London, England, and in Hong Kong.
How do people find out more about Varicent?
At www.varicent.com.
Thank you, Brian.